Have you ever felt a shiver down your spine as the sun sets, casting long, eerie shadows across your seemingly peaceful neighborhood? The kind of shadows that make you question if you're truly alone, or if something sinister is lurking just out of sight? A creeping sense of dread that something isn't quite right, lurking just beyond the veil of normalcy? It's that unsettling feeling that makes you glance over your shoulder, wondering if the darkness holds more than just the absence of light. We often seek solace in the familiar, the comfort of our homes, and the reassuring presence of neighbors. These are the places and people we trust, the ones we believe will keep us safe from the unknown. But what happens when the familiar becomes terrifying, when the comfort of home morphs into an inescapable prison, and the friendly face next door hides a sinister secret? When the very walls that should protect you seem to close in, and the people you trust become the source of your nightmares. Welcome, dear reader, to a chilling exploration of nightmare neighbors, where the line between reality and nightmare blurs, leaving you questioning the sanity of it all. Here, the ordinary becomes extraordinary in the most terrifying ways. Fasten your seatbelts, turn on all the lights, and prepare to descend into the darkest corners of suburban terror. Each step you take will lead you deeper into a world where fear is your constant companion. This is not for the faint of heart, but if you dare to continue, be warned. You may never look at your neighbors the same way again. The secrets they hide could be more terrifying than you ever imagined. Old Mrs. Hemlock. Everyone knew her, or at least they thought they did. Her house, a looming Victorian mansion at the edge of town, was a relic of a bygone era, shrouded in an almost palpable gloom. She kept to herself, her only companions a clouder of black cats that roamed her overgrown yard. The new family across the street, the Millers, tried to be neighborly, offering freshly baked cookies and polite conversation. Mrs. Hemlock would only peer at them through the iron bars of her gate, her eyes like chips of ice. Things took a sinister turn when the Miller's young son, Timmy, swore he saw dolls in Mrs. Hemlock's windows, their eyes following him as he played in the yard. Dolls that looked eerily familiar, like children who had gone missing from the neighborhood over the years. Their smiles seemed frozen in silent screams. The apartment building had a history. Tenants came and went, whispering tales of strange noises, cold spots, and a feeling of being watched. But Emily, a struggling art student, brushed it off as city paranoia. She couldn't afford to be picky. One night, however, she woke to a soft scratching sound coming from the wall. It was faint at first, but it grew louder, more insistent, like claws raking against her sanity. She pressed her ear to the cold plaster, her heart pounding in her chest. A voice, raspy and chilling, whispered her name. Emily stumbled back, her blood turning to ice. The scratching continued, relentless, accompanied by a low, guttural growl that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. Emily was not alone. Mr. Hawthorne was an enigma. He kept his lawn meticulously manicured, his rose bushes pruned to perfection. But there was something unsettling about his garden. It was eerily silent, devoid of birdsong or the buzz of insects. One day, while retrieving a stray ball, young Billy from next door noticed something peculiar in Mr. Hawthorne's freshly tilled soil. Small white objects protruded from the earth, gleaming ominously in the sunlight. Curiosity overcoming his fear, Billy bent down and picked one up. It was a bone, small and delicate, like the finger bone of a child. Billy's blood ran cold. The rocks in Mr. Hawthorne's garden were not rocks at all. Section 5. The Night Watch. The new neighborhood watch seemed a little overzealous. Every night, Mr. Henderson patrolled the streets with a sense of duty that bordered on obsession. A flashlight clutched in his gloved hand. He moved with a purpose, his eyes scanning every shadow, every corner, as if expecting trouble to leap out at any moment. People whispered that he was a little too invested in his role, a little too eager to insert himself into everyone's business. He seemed to relish the power it gave him. One night, Sarah, walking home from a late shift at the diner, noticed Mr. Henderson watching her from across the street. His gaze was intense, unwavering, almost predatory. She quickened her pace, her unease growing with each step she took. The streetlights flickered, casting eerie shadows. As she fumbled for her keys, her hands trembling, she felt a cold, clammy hand on her shoulder. She spun around, a scream caught in her throat, unable to escape. It was Mr. Henderson, his face a mask of concern, his grip surprisingly strong, almost too strong. "Just making sure you got home safe," he said, his voice a low growl that sent shivers down her spine. But his eyes held a different story, one that spoke of obsession and something far more sinister, something that made Sarah's skin crawl with dread. Section 6. Red Eyes in the Darkness. The woods behind their house had always been a source of both fascination and fear for the Carter children. Their mother warned them to never go in after dark, whispering tales of shadowy figures and glowing eyes. Of course, that only made the woods more enticing. One hot summer night, unable to resist the allure of the forbidden, the children snuck out their bedroom window and into the woods. The air was thick with the smell of pine needles and damp earth. As they ventured deeper, they heard a rustling in the underbrush. Then they saw them, two glowing red eyes like burning coals, staring at them from the darkness. The children froze, their blood turning to ice. The eyes blinked, and then with a guttural snarl, the creature lunged. Section 7. The Unseen Guest. The old Victorian house had stood empty for years, a testament to forgotten dreams and whispered tragedies. Its walls, once filled with laughter and life, now echoed with silence and the weight of untold stories. Then one day, a moving van arrived, and a solitary figure took up residence. The neighbors watched with bated breath, wondering who would choose to live in such a place. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but no one ever saw him leave. It was as if the house had swallowed him whole. Neighbors, curious and a little afraid, tried to catch a glimpse of the new resident, but the windows were always dark, the curtains drawn tight. Whispers spread through the town, each more fantastical than the last. Strange noises emanated from the house at night, muffled screams, the dragging of heavy furniture. The sounds were unsettling, sending shivers down the spines of those who dared to listen. One day, a foul odor began to waft from the house, a sickening metallic stench that clung to the back of the throat. It was a smell that spoke of decay and despair. The police were called, their investigation revealing a gruesome scene inside the house. Bloodstains marred the walls, and the air was thick with the scent of death. But the occupant was gone, vanished without a trace, leaving behind only the lingering smell of death and the chilling question of what had transpired within those walls. The mystery of the unseen guest remained unsolved, a dark chapter in the town's history. Section 8. The Screaming Attic. The Campbell family moved into the old manor house with dreams of restoration and a fresh start. But the house, it seemed, had other plans. There was a presence there, a darkness that clung to the shadows, whispering in the walls. It began subtly, footsteps creaking on the stairs when no one was around, doors slamming shut on their own. Then the screaming started. Every night it would emanate from the attic, a blood-curdling wail that sent shivers down their spines. Mr. Campbell, determined to find a rational explanation, ventured into the attic, armed with only a flashlight and his dwindling courage. He never revealed what he saw up there, but he came down white as a sheet, his eyes wide with terror. The screaming continued, a nightly reminder that they were not alone. Section 9. Moving Day. The for sale sign stood on the lawn like a beacon of hope. After months of enduring their neighbors' bizarre and increasingly disturbing behavior, the Thompson family had finally reached their breaking point. They were moving, escaping the nightmare that had become their reality. As the movers loaded the last box onto the truck, Mrs. Thompson noticed their neighbor watching them from his porch swing. He was smiling, a chilling, too-wide grin that sent shivers down her spine. He raised his hand in a mock salute, his voice a low, menacing whisper that carried on the wind. "See you soon," he said, his eyes gleaming with an unsettling intensity. The Thompson family drove away without looking back, their hearts pounding in their chests. They could only hope they were truly escaping the nightmare. Section 10. Sweet Dreams. The world is full of shadows, lurking just beyond the edges of our perception. We find comfort in the familiar, in the routines of daily life, but sometimes the familiar can be the most terrifying thing of all. Remember these tales, dear reader, as you lock your doors and turn off the lights tonight. Because you never truly know who your neighbors are, what secrets they hide, or what lurks behind their seemingly ordinary facades. Sweet dreams. Don't forget to subscribe for more spine-chilling stories from the dark side of suburbia.